and it looked like new information has been revealed about Caitlin Clark's future contract with the Indiana.
Caitlin Clark has already made a remarkable impact on women's basketball, reshaping the sport in ways that few rookies ever have. But an even bigger story may be developing behind the scenes, and it revolves around her current contract. Recent discussions surrounding the Indiana Fever have fueled growing speculation about what could happen when she signs her next deal. Many believe that contract could set a new salary record and even inspire major changes to how the WNBA structures player compensation. This isn't just about one rising superstar, it represents a much larger conversation about the future of women's basketball, the value of its players, and where the league is headed. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Caitlin Clark's contract has become one of the hottest topics in basketball and why its impact could extend far beyond a single player.
Telling everybody, Caitlin Clark's new contract is already in the works, bruh. The Indiana Fever is not wasting no time with making sure they dot their I's and cross all the T's when it comes to keeping Caitlin Clark on this Indiana Fever.
There is little doubt that Caitlin Clark has become one of the biggest forces in the WNBA, and the Indiana Fever are facing increasing expectations to make her a long-term centerpiece of the franchise. Although her rookie contract follows the league's collective bargaining agreement, many believe her salary falls far short of the influence and value she has brought to women's basketball. The WNBA now finds itself in an unfamiliar position, with one player attracting massive fan interest, generating significant revenue, and creating a level of excitement that can rival the impact of entire teams. Recent reports involving the Indiana Fever suggest that conversations about Clark's future are already taking place behind closed doors. However, those discussions are said to be running into a major challenge, as the league's current salary system and existing rules were never built to accommodate a player whose commercial and cultural impact has reached this extraordinary level.
Now we know she's still on a rookie contract for the next couple years, but one thing I can tell you that I know definitively is that the organization is working on a massive contract for Caitlin Clark's future contract.
The numbers tell a remarkable story. Reports suggest that Caitlin Clark has been connected to nearly 26% of the WNBA's overall activity this season, highlighting just how significant her influence has become. Take a moment to consider that impact. A rookie straight out of college is drawing an extraordinary share of the league's attention, with her name reportedly linked to about 1 out of every 6 WNBA ticket sales. Clark has grown beyond being simply another standout player on the court. She has become one of the biggest attractions in the sport, bringing new fans and increased interest wherever she plays. The Indiana Fever fully recognize what that means, making her long-term future with the franchise far more than a basketball decision. It has become one of the organization's most important priorities.
Now, we know Caitlin Clark is ultimately going to be the person to yay or nay whatever solution they come up with. So they got to do everything in their best interest to get ahead of this thing way before it ever comes up. So word on the street is that the Indiana Fever is putting together proposals and putting together different things under the WNBA rules that they can for Caitlin Clark's new contract.
With Caitlin Clark continuing to dominate headlines and her jerseys selling out almost as soon as they reach the shelves, the Indiana Fever have seen an extraordinary rise in popularity. Reports indicate that the team has welcomed more than 300,000 fans to its games this season, while television ratings have climbed dramatically, with overall viewership increasing by roughly 300%. Nearly 45% of those viewers are also said to be tuning in specifically to watch the Fever play, underscoring Clark's remarkable drawing power. These figures are more than just eye-catching statistics, they highlight the enormous influence she has had on the WNBA. Clark is doing more than delivering standout performances on the court. She has become one of the biggest reasons behind the league's rapid growth and expanding fan base.
All of this is about getting Caitlin Clark's new contract done. They get her contract done, seal and deliver the future of this.
The biggest hurdle, however, lies in the WNBA's current collective bargaining agreement. The league's existing salary system places firm limits on player earnings and assigns fixed rookie contracts, regardless of a player's market value or overall impact. As a result, Caitlin Clark is competing under rules that were established long before a player with her level of influence arrived in the league. Even at the highest end of her rookie deal, many believe her salary does not reflect the revenue, attention, and growth she helps generate. That imbalance is widely recognized by Clark, the Indiana Fever, and league officials alike, but the current rules leave little room for immediate change. Recent reports suggest the Fever are exploring every available avenue to strengthen her long-term future in Indianapolis, including performance-based incentives, creative bonus structures, expanded endorsement opportunities, and strategic partnership arrangements that could add value beyond her standard contract. Even so, those potential solutions are widely viewed as short-term fixes for a much bigger problem. At its heart, Caitlin Clark's rapid rise has highlighted what many believe are outdated compensation rules within the WNBA, adding momentum to calls for a system that better rewards players who have an exceptional impact on the league. Her influence reaches far beyond basketball. Economic reports estimate that Clark's presence has contributed nearly $36 million to the economy of Indianapolis, creating a financial boost comparable to the benefits of hosting a major event like the NCAA Final Four. That impact extends well beyond the Indiana Fever, supporting local restaurants, hotels, businesses, and the city's economy as a whole. Despite generating that level of attention and economic value, Clark continues to play under a rookie contract that remains relatively modest compared with the standards of other major professional sports. This dramatic difference has sparked a wider discussion about whether the WNBA's current salary system truly matches the value of its most influential players. The comparison with the NBA makes the issue even more noticeable. For instance, Victor Wembanyama, the first overall selection in the 2023 NBA draft, secured a rookie contract worth tens of millions of dollars, while Caitlin Clark's 4-year rookie deal represents only a small portion of that figure. The gap has raised serious questions about how top-level talent is valued and rewarded across professional basketball. With the WNBA's current collective bargaining agreement nearing its expiration, many believe the next round of negotiations could be a crucial moment to rethink salary structures and develop a system that better recognizes players who drive the league's growth. However, meaningful change takes time, and as the process continues, speculation remains about whether stars like Caitlin Clark could eventually consider opportunities beyond the WNBA. As women's basketball expands globally, the league faces a major challenge, finding a way to keep its biggest stars while creating a compensation model that reflects their true impact. The central question now is how the WNBA can continue attracting and retaining elite talent if its financial system cannot fully match the value created by its biggest stars. Reports suggest that the Indiana Fever understand the importance of securing Caitlin Clark's future with the franchise and are prepared to explore every option available within league guidelines. However, those same rules also restrict the amount of flexibility teams have when trying to reward players with extraordinary impact. Whether the future involves new contract possibilities, opportunities overseas, or different career paths, the discussion has grown far beyond a single player's deal. The biggest impact of Clark's rise may be the lasting change she has inspired across the sport. She has proven that women's basketball has a massive audience when fans have a reason to connect and invest. Supporters are filling arenas, watching games, and following the league at unprecedented levels. The challenge now is ensuring that this momentum continues for years to come. If the WNBA fails to adjust to this new era, it could risk slowing the growth it has worked so hard to achieve. Ultimately, this debate is not only about Caitlin Clark or the WNBA, it represents a much larger conversation about the value of women's sports and how the world's top athletes should be rewarded for the impact they create. For many fans and analysts, the situation has created a major question. When a player can completely transform the popularity and business of a league, should the compensation system evolve to recognize that level of influence? Caitlin Clark's journey has revealed a much larger challenge that the WNBA can no longer overlook. The Indiana Fever and the league are now facing a defining moment, trying to secure Clark's long-term future while operating under rules that were established before a player with this kind of impact entered the sport. Recent reports indicate that the Fever are examining every possible option to build around Clark and keep her as the face of the franchise. However, the current structure limits the team's ability to create major changes, making the situation more complex than it appears from the outside. The coming years could become a turning point, not only for Clark's career but also for the future of the WNBA itself. The league must decide whether it can adapt to this new era of women's basketball or remain tied to a system that many believe no longer matches the reality of today's game. The stakes are enormous. Caitlin Clark is not just a generational basketball talent. She has become a global brand, a powerful marketing force, and a symbol of how much potential women's basketball truly holds. The biggest question still remains, can the WNBA adapt fast enough to create a system that properly supports players with the level of influence Caitlin Clark has achieved? Or will the league struggle to keep up with the changing expectations and opportunities of today's sports landscape? Clark's impact reaches well beyond her performances on the court. Reports suggest that her presence has played a major role in boosting television audiences, with Indiana Fever games becoming a significant part of the league's growing broadcast attention. The reason is clear. Clark is not only an exceptional basketball talent, but also a player with the confidence, competitive style, and personality that connect with millions of fans. People are not just watching her games, they are filling arenas, buying jerseys, and following her journey closely. For the Indiana Fever, her value goes far beyond the scoreboard. In a league that has often faced financial challenges, Having a player with Clark's ability to attract fans and generate excitement is a major asset. Her merchandise continues to rank among the WNBA's most popular, proving the power of her brand. However, despite this tremendous commercial success, teams are still restricted by league rules and cannot simply offer salaries based on a player's true market value. The WNBA's current collective bargaining agreement continues to place restrictions on player salaries, even for the league's biggest stars. According to recent reports, the Indiana Fever are looking into every possible option to make Caitlin Clark's long-term future with the franchise more appealing. Discussions have reportedly included performance-based bonuses, expanded endorsement opportunities, team partnerships, and other creative incentives designed to recognize her unique value. These efforts highlight how strongly the organization wants to keep one of the most influential players in women's basketball in Indianapolis. However, while these solutions could provide additional benefits, many believe they are only temporary measures and may not fully solve the larger question of whether the league's compensation structure is prepared for players with this level of impact. If the WNBA hopes to keep players with the kind of influence Caitlin Clark has achieved, many believe the league may eventually need to make broader changes to its compensation system. However, this discussion is about much more than one player. Clark's situation has become a major indicator of where the future of women's basketball could be heading. If the league struggles to provide competitive financial opportunities for its biggest stars, it could face stronger competition from international leagues that have long pursued top-level talent. While Clark has not suggested that she plans to leave the WNBA, her situation demonstrates just how valuable players of her caliber have become in the global basketball landscape. If other opportunities become more appealing, teams around the world would undoubtedly be interested. For Indianapolis, Clark represents much more than a star athlete wearing a Fever jersey. She has become a major economic force, a source of community excitement, and a key reason fans are packing arenas. Losing a player with that level of influence would be a major blow not only for the Indiana Fever but also for the city that has embraced her impact. The WNBA and the Indiana Fever recognize that Caitlin Clark has become far more than a franchise player.